The debate over a Boston Olympics in 2024 is getting more acrimonious. Along with dialogue for planning, there have been accusations of foul play from supporters and opponents alike. We try to represent both sides in our ongoing coverage. And tonight we bring you a supporter who's a freelance writer from Brighton and an executive in a local technology startup. We'd like to welcome Ed Lyons. Thank you very much for being with us, Ed.
Thanks for having me.
We're still working without a hard plan here, but you're talking about really almost a sense of destiny for Boston.
Yeah, I think that this is not really about the people on Boston 2024 or the plan, but can we really do this?
Now, of course, you've posted a piece. It's a long, thoughtful piece, and this is about the nature of Boston as you've come to know it. You've seen a lot more growth here, a lot more inclusion, maybe more diversity, more globalized kind of city. So, why do we need an Olympics?
We don't need an Olympics, but I think the Olympics needs us. I think that it'd be great to see that Boston figure out how to pull it off and make the world proud of the Olympics again. I think people have lost faith in the Olympics. Well,
one of the things that you've done before you got to the end of your writing here was that you look back at the work of Zimbalist, who's one of the main detractors of Olympics, and he looked at different experiences around the world, including here. And what's the lesson for Boston from that?
Well, the lesson is that we can't have this go on autopilot, that we need a change in direction from the way the Olympics have been staged in other cities. His book is excellent. Everyone should read it. And I think that his opinions have already informed the debate. People are not getting away with simply promising things will be better, that we're going to have to decide to do the Olympics in a very different way than previous host cities have.
We keep hearing that things work very well in Los Angeles, but not so well in Atlanta. What's the difference?
In Los Angeles, similar to Boston today, had a lot of leverage. The Olympics were in trouble even then, and the IOC allowed Los Angeles to run games more in their way. They had the facilities there already, mostly. It was privately funded. The games also cost a lot less then. Promises were not as grand as they are recently. So the difference was with Atlanta that the bidding had gone higher and higher about what the game should be. Promises were greater, and they ended up not being able to control cost in the way they thought they would.
Of course, another thing here is if you look at the Olympics in Barcelona in '92, Barcelona, like Boston, I think, in a way, is a great center of civilization. Maybe they didn't really need Olympics either, but how did it turn out for them?
According to the book and other research I've done, that it worked out pretty well, especially in terms of long-term benefits to the city. It isn't like other cities where there are many unused facilities and massive debts that were left behind. Barcelona had a plan, and the Olympics fit into it, which should be the model for us, I think.
Now, of course, when people think about this in Boston, we're still living in the shadow of the Big Dig. We built it, and it more or less works the way it was planned, but the amount of money involved, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is scary. I think there was enormous cost overruns. People didn't anticipate all the inconveniences it would bring to Boston. I remember I lived in Boston at that time. And I think that there are a lot of people who are veterans of that who would be much more wise about a similar mega project.
Because right now in Boston, we see news that looks kind of threatening. And I'm not talking about people who oppose the Olympics. I mean, just trying to expand South Station, getting the Postal Service to move and meeting the cost of that, which might be driven up by the Olympics. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a pretty thorny affair.
It will be. Fortunately, the people on Boston 2024 are some of our most excellent citizens, and there are many other people who should get involved. I think one of the things the Olympics should be able to do is bring people together to overcome their differences, to be able to think of a higher purpose here. And I hope that Boston 2024 loosens our problems up rather than makes them worse. If it's going to make our things harder, we shouldn't have it at all.
But, putting one more thing on a plate, and this plate, we already have the T, which is very difficult to fix. We have education we got to fix. School sports in Boston is nothing to be proud of. So, I mean, how can we put the Olympics on top of this?
I think it's a question of bringing new people into the process who were not previously involved. I hate to think we were taking things away from other worthy causes. I don't see any reason why not doing Olympics would make the schools better. I hope the schools get better, as I live in Brighton. But I think that the Olympics should help people come together more often. It should soften our politics and allow us to think bigger about our school. Perhaps if we're an Olympic city, people will want the schools to get a little bit better to be more worthy of that. I don't know.
What about getting the financial support, the support from sources other than taxpayers?
Well, it seems like that there's going to be a lot of private funding. Perhaps they'll find a way to have some sort of other fundraising drives. There doesn't seem to be a lot of appetite for either city funding or state funding. So I think they're going to have to figure out a way to do it privately. That'll take a lot of creativity. I hope they find a way to do that.
Of course, one of the things that we all have to struggle with here is looking at the details of the plan. But even after that's done, what if we just shrugged and said no? We just don't. This just doesn't look, reliable enough for us to go with here. I mean, what would that be like?
If we just shrugged and said no, I think it would hurt our pride a little bit. I think a lot of people would say, geez, why couldn't we figure it out? I think we should say no because a lot of people agree that the costs outweigh the benefits. I don't think we're there yet. It's possible that the plan convinces people that we just shouldn't do it, but I hope the plan shows that we can do it. I think it'll wound us if we just say no to it.
You've also thought about a new way to raise some money for this, even besides going up to some big corporation. What about that?
Well, I mean, we live in a time of what they call crowdfunding, where people can voluntarily give money over the internet. It's very easy now for various causes. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, many websites raise money for a variety of consumer and artistic works. Tens of millions of dollars for projects that don't seem nearly as important to the Olympics. I could picture a national and local fundraising drive to get people to pledge money to the Olympics. We have many years for it to work, and why not? Why wouldn't people in other parts of the country want to contribute to an American Olympics if it was in Boston? That may displace the need for public funding, and it may take some of the pressure off of philanthropic groups inside Boston.
Another concern here is the process. We've had a number of meetings, not to mention some public hearings about this so far, and there have been some sparks flying. So isn't that healthy in a way?
I think the debate is healthy if it's surfacing the issues. I think the opponents have an excellent case against the Olympics, and they should be out there shouting it. Maybe shouting it in a slightly nicer way, but they should be passionate, just the way that those of us who are...
There's some tough people on the other side, though, too.
Oh, it's tough people all over the place. I don't think the goal of a community meeting is that my kids can go to it. I think the goal is that people feel like that their point of view was listened to. So I think it'll be contentious. It'd be nice if it wasn't this bad, but I think that the debate, as long as it's productive, as long as people are learning things about what we can do and what the risks are, then it's a good thing.
Ed, you have something more for people to follow up on online here with this. So if people want to track that down, what's the best way to find it?
Just go to my Twitter account, which is Mysterious Rook, R-O-O-K, and you'll see links to the story, and you can read the whole piece if you want to.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Ed Lyons. We'll have more news in just a moment.